Divine greetings and gratitude, everyone. If y'all are new here, my name is Cassandra. I'm the witch, author, poet, and performer of Magic of Eden. Welcome to your new spiritual safe haven. And if y'all are returning, hey family, welcome back to our sacred garden. I'm always honored, excited, and elated to be in your presence. Thank you all so much for being patient with me for these past few days. There has been a lot going on. I managed to continuously post videos and readings and whatnot, and now we are going into astrology. I wanted to say something really quickly though. I wanted to remind you guys that I use and I merge the arts of poetry and magic, and so I will come on here on YouTube and do some videos around readings. I also do videos on astrology, and I will also do videos on poetry when I feel led to, because all of them are so connected. Poetry and magic are just so connected, and it is what I do in order to create something beautiful and unique to serve my people, to serve my soul tribe, and to show up in the best way that I possibly can. So please do not expect for me to always make astrology videos, because there are so many things that I want to cover on this channel. Thank you all for understanding that. Now, I wanted to get into a few things because we're going to be having a full moon in Gemini on December the 15th at about 4:01 a.m. EST. Now, depending on where you are in the world, it may change for you, and I want you to just keep that in mind. Also, the way that this full moon may impact you is going to change depending on what your rising sign is, and I'm just doing a generalized reading for our soul chart, for the collective, and I am just doing a chart not based off of each of the rising signs, but just I'm pulling the chart as is. That's the way that I'm called to do it, and that's just the way that I'm going to do it. If I feel called to make it a little bit differently in later videos, I will. For now, we are just going to stick to the overall message, okay? Hopefully it does resonate, and if it doesn't, go ahead, toss it out. Thank you all for giving me a chance to give you guys this reading. So I am actually going to go ahead and pull up the chart now, and I actually had to sit with it, and there's a lot of things that I want to uncover, and the reason is because there are just some transits that I feel that all of us are feeling. And I also feel like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm one of those people that I feel the energy way beforehand. Like, I don't just feel it on the day of the full moon. I actually feel the energy prior. Like, sometimes I'm feeling it weeks ahead, sometimes I'm feeling it days ahead, and I'm feeling the energy even before pulling the astrology chart. And that is the reason why I also have a few notes here that I wanted to share with you guys too, because I have been feeling energy, or I've been feeling this energy for a minute now. And the way that I've been feeling is I've actually been feeling kind of, I don't want to say drained, but I want to say that I've been a little bit more foggy than usual. I also want to say that I've been feeling like I've been pulled a lot more with my personal life. I've been trying my best to just kind of balance things at home and also with work and things of that nature, right? With homeschooling, right? Because I'm a homeschooling mom. I stay at home, I homeschool, and I also create content and things like that. So between work, between homeschooling, between showing up for the kids, being a mom of 4, 2 biological children and 2 stepchildren, and then being a partner, and then showing up for myself, and then also making sure that I stay on top of me, you know, doing what I got to do to lose weight and manage, you know, PCOS symptoms. It is a lot. So I've been feeling myself pushed and pulled between these different places. It's really been this 2 of Pentacles energy, which I feel like a lot of people are feeling leading up to this full moon happening in the sign of Gemini. And I have a strong feeling that that has everything to do with Mercury, who's going to be direct at that time, who's going to be squaring off with Saturn. And I'm going to get into all of that. So recently, or what I'm feeling is that some of you guys really may be feeling like you're called to so many different places. It's calling or requiring so much of you. And I really do feel like the best thing that I feel like we can do right now is to have grace with ourselves, and to also remember to have 2 of Swords moments, because the cards that I've been picking up on recently have been the 2 of Pentacles and also the 2 of Swords. It's been coming up in readings. It's been coming up in my partner's readings. So I'm noticing that there is a strong significance of this push and pull and weighing and balancing out and following the flow and surrendering to the flows of life and things of that nature. And also using our creative minds and also using our wits and our creativity and our intuition to create balance, to create balance and whatnot. And I feel like that's what we're being called to do. I'm going to first state also that it is not my intention at all to spread any kind of fear mongering. It is not my intention to make you feel disempowered. It is also not my intention to make you feel as though you are inadequate or that you are someone that does not have the ability to overcome any kind of triumph. In fact, my intention and my goal is to always empower you and to always share with you in different ways that I possibly can, ways that you can reclaim your power and transcend beyond your pain and your suffering. I am notoriously known for doing that. I have been saying that since even before I started showing up on YouTube. And also, I don't know why I feel the need to tell you guys this. My spiritual journey started long before I came on YouTube. I am not new to spirituality. I am new to being consistent with sharing my ideas and my thoughts and whatnot online in a public space. And I don't know why, but I feel like there's this energy where a lot of you guys are going to start coming out and sharing more of your story. A lot of storytelling has been coming through, a lot of writing the story. And also, speaking of writing the story, I really do feel like with full moons, right, they are in your face, they're loud, they're obvious, right? And not only that, they tell the story of the words that were written down when you were setting your intentions during the new moon phases. So what I'm feeling like also with the full moon in Gemini, because Gemini does have to do with communication, how we, our intellect, it deals with how we process information, bits and pieces of information. It also deals with public speaking, creative writing, and things of that nature. So some of you guys may be called at the time of the full moon to start sharing your story, start journaling, jotting down ideas, getting ready to write books and things of that nature, sharing things and sharing your experiences with your soul tribe and with the world. I don't know why, but I'm hearing the words marketing and bookkeeping and record keeping, but there seems to be this need for us to tell our stories and to write them down, because if you write them down, then that becomes a sacred text that you can then extend to your soul tribe, to your family members and whoever else. So there's a need to really get into our creative minds, into our ways of thinking, so that we can use that to innovate our lives, because our lives are drastically changing. And we're going to go ahead and get into that. I know that I'm kind of bouncing around, but just flow with the energy with me. Hopefully you're still in. Hopefully you're still here. Also, I really recommend that you listen to this video all the way till the end. And the reason is because I don't want you to miss anything, because whenever I start talking and I go on a tangent, it's usually a lot. Like if you've ever gotten a reading from me, you know that more than likely, or all the time actually, that I'm going to say something and you're going to want to write it down, because more often than not, what happens is I'll say something and then you write it down, and then next thing you know, it'll happen. I'm not saying that to be arrogant. I'm only saying that because of what I've seen, giving my readings and whatnot. Now we're going to go ahead and open up our notebook, and we're going to read off some of the things that I heard prior to looking at the charts. Okay. Now, here are the notes here, and other things I'm actually going to just be kind of going off the top of my head. I'm going to be flowing with my intuition. I wrote that down. I wrote these down. These are the notes that I wrote down before looking at the natal chart, and then I started to write some things down after looking at the chart, but I really wanted to flow with my intuition. Also, I started writing these down yesterday, and I stopped because I just kept feeling like clouded, and I wasn't really getting the information that I needed, and I knew that it was because of I was overwhelmed, so I had to stop, and now I'm recording today. But I did technically start recording last night, which is not important. Anyways, so yes, what we have here, we have fraud in the banking system. We have media coverage regarding the music industry, pharmaceutical industry, banking, social media, First Amendment rights, and more information surfacing around affairs, government control on sovereignty. We also have unmasking of individuals in the media and their role in politics, higher order, and duality in merging the shadows and the lights. Don't be surprised if you come across information and evidence that supports government officials receiving help from outside and otherworldly entities. Valerian movie. If you guys have been following along with me on Instagram, you guys know that I have been referencing a lot of Ready Player One, a lot of Valerian, a lot of V for Vendetta. There's been a lot of those movies coming through. Also, I want you to know that I know that I probably sound really annoying by now. You guys, I don't mean to be annoying. I know that sometimes the messages sound very cliche, like I'm just repeating information. I'm really not. These are truly things that are coming through, and they're coming through for a reason. All right. So if you guys have been following along with me on Instagram, or if you haven't actually, naturally, go ahead and take a moment to look at my highlights. I believe they're called downloads and channeled messages. There were things that I did predict that actually came to fruition. Also, I do have things on my podcast that I was predicting back in a few years back. And those things are also coming to fruition as well. Am I proud that those things are coming to fruition? No. I'm saying that because there are several things that I have stated that have come to pass. And I'm just, again, sharing information as much as I can. And then the last thing that I have written here is the shadow aspect of Gemini and the truth about major celebrities. We are about to unpack some stuff. Now, the first thing that I want to mention is, remember how earlier when I was saying that some people may feel, or I felt kind of clouded, some people may feel like their judgment was just off, like they weren't able to make sound decisions and they felt inhibited by day-to-day routines, responsibilities, and burdens and whatnot throughout their day-to-day life. The reason why I feel that is because come the time of the full moon in Gemini, Mercury actually will be stationing direct. Anytime Mercury stations actually direct, you have the post shadow period. When he does go direct though, it's kind of like an aftershock, right? Where you feel like you know that you've come to a stop, but then things are still like a little bit shaky, and then they start to smooth out, and then you get used to the new rhythm, right? You get used to the standstill energy. At the same time, Mercury going direct on that day also means that we are going to be receiving a lot of revelations, especially because that is a full moon. Now, the fact that Mercury is going to be squaring off with Saturn, this to me means that we are going to become clear on our priorities. We'll become more clear on the things that we need to take into consideration. We'll become a lot more clear on the responsibilities that we have, and we'll also be able to plan more and take more time out to do the things that we need to do in order to make our lives a lot easier. Everything will start to become a lot clearer. Now, because Saturn at that time is going to be in the 4th house, this has everything to do with us being able to manage and show up for and reclaiming authority over our personal lives and our home spaces. So there may be some energies where you come to the realization that some things are just simply not working in the household, and you want to make changes to that. This can happen on a microscopic level. I also do feel like anytime you have Mercury squaring off with Saturn, it becomes like this friction, because Mercury wants to be free, it wants to float, it wants to go high into the air, it wants to be a balloon that just high, it wants to head towards the stars, whereas Saturn wants you to ground yourself, and it wants you to pay attention to reality and implement those ideas that you have in reality. It wants you to be practical. He wants you to really do the work that is necessary in order for you to make these ideas real. So anytime you have Mercury opposing a planet like Saturn, it's one of those energies where you have to just simply listen and really think about not just like the bigger picture, but think about your role and how things are becoming like discombobulated. And I feel like Mercury squaring with Saturn means that there's some things more than likely that you're going to have to change about your thought processes, and there's some things that you may have to let go of. You have to change a certain way of thinking in order, or even adapt a certain way of thinking in order to help your life move more efficiently, if that makes sense. I also wanted to mention too that Saturn is the father and the ruler of determination, of boundaries, of restriction, of all those things, and he pushes you to your limit, and it can feel very overwhelming and very daunting, to the point where sometimes you feel as if you're not good enough, or if you're not doing things good enough, or if you're not as efficient, or if you're not as responsible. And Saturn can sometimes restrict your way of thinking because it wants you to kind of narrow things down, whereas with Mercury, it wants you to expand it. It wants to look at these different types of bits and pieces of information. Think about it as when you have like a Lego set, right? And you build something. When Mercury does this, it breaks it apart, and it wants to know, how was it built? What were these little bitty tiny pieces here? Like, it wants to know every single little detail. And so sometimes Saturn says, okay, I get the fact that you want to do that, but this is what we need to do. You're focusing on way too much right now. We need to limit your way of thinking. We need to pull you back so that you can focus. And so sometimes it can create this procrastination. It can make you feel very overwhelmed. It can make you feel pessimistic. And sometimes this exacerbates the things that you're going through in your day-to-day life. So the best thing that I can definitely say is that whenever you're dealing with this kind of transit, or whenever you're dealing with this kind of square, it's really important for us to focus on what the goal is at hand, and to also not not get so focused and nitpicky on the very tiny minute details, and really focus our attention on what the task is at hand. And also remember to be open to any wisdom that you could potentially be receiving that can help you enhance or lift the burdens or the weight off of what you have that you are experiencing in your day-to-day life. Now, Mars is currently retrograde, and Mercury at the time of the full moon is actually going to be trining Mars. So Mercury is going to be stationing direct, and Mars was in retrograde as of December 6th. Now, to me, what this energy is all about is us really slowing down and really taking a moment to think about our actions, to think about our higher ideals and how we are going to get there. Now, the fact that we do have several other planets that are retrograde, this means that we are revisiting, revamping, rethinking, and doing things and really going back down memory lane to think about our actions, to think about the things that we have done, and to really put more attention to those things to see how we can do better moving forward, and also how our actions affect us overall in life. Now, this is what I'm talking about here is on a microscopic level. So you may feel the need to go back and rethink some of your actions, especially because at that time, Pluto is also going to be opposing, Pluto, who's in Aquarius, is going to be opposing Mars, who is in Leo in the 9th house at that time. So this has everything to do with us going back and revisiting drama, revisiting the things that came to pass, and us really taking full responsibility in our own lack of power and how we felt that we were disempowered, and also how we overpowered other people. So I do see that at that time, we're going to be going back and really thinking about the things, again, our own actions and our roles and how things played out. So it's almost kind of like going back to the drama scene, if you will. Like, that's the kind of vibe that I'm getting with that. Now, I'm going to start getting into a bit of the heavier stuff. And the reason why I say this is because I'm seeing, again, of course, that the sun is actually going to be obviously opposite the moon, and he's also going to be opposite Jupiter and also opposite the vertex point. And all of this is happening in the 8th house in the sign of Gemini. And also we do have Uranus, who's still transiting through the sign of Taurus, also in the 7th house and whatnot. So we have quite a bit more to talk about. And here's where I'm going to do my best to kind of condense it as much as I can. And I know that we're, about 20 something minutes into the video, but again, I'm just going to try to give him as much information as I can. The fact that Uranus is transiting through the sign of Taurus, I feel like anytime Uranus is transiting through any sign, what it's going to do is it's going to bring some type of upheaval to that sign, especially to that area of life. And that area of life is going to be what house it's in, right? The fact that Uranus is going to be in the 7th house at that time in the sign of Taurus, what I feel like is that we are going to start feeling a need to figure out and really think about what really does make us feel secure in our relationships and our one-on-one partnerships, whether it be a work relationship or a romantic partner, our friendships and whatnot. And I feel like it really does make us focus on what we really consider valuable and what we can add to bring value to our relationships, and also what we can do to revolutionize these aspects of our lives. I feel like also on a microscopic level, I feel like the fact that we're having this full moon in the sign of Gemini, this has everything to do with us really thinking about and really paying more attention to the shifts that were happening. We're really starting to pay more attention to everything that is changing all around us. Real estate, what we find valuable, how we choose to bring value, how we make money, how we live a more sustainable life, and also what we're spending our money on, how we're spending that money, and what we're deciding that really makes us feel, again, secure. And also we really start to figure out who really is authentic, who's really unique, and how that really plays a role in the longevity of our partnerships and whatnot. Do you see what I mean? And I feel like on a collective level, because Uranus is connected to, or is the ruler of, Aquarius, and so Aquarius is this energy where it's all about the greater good, it's all about humanity, it's all about this greater scope of things. And so when you have Uranus transiting through Taurus, I feel like what we're paying attention to is how is what I'm contributing to this relationship going to impact the greater good, and is this going to bring some type of longevity or sustainability to, again, my partnerships, and also how does this contribute to the world, right? Is what I'm doing in my personal relationships going to affect the world? Like, how does it show up, right? And also what I want to say too is on a microscopic level, this means that I feel like a lot of our relationships are going to start showing us really only what we feel that we find value in. And also I feel like this makes us kind of rethink the way that we're treating the world, the way that we're showing up in the world, the way that we are as humans, as it pertains to being in the world, right? How we take care of the world, how we take care of the earth. And I feel like how we take care of each other is a direct reflection as to how we take care of our Earth Mama, right? And I feel like that's something that we're going to be thinking about. How could we come up with these more creative ideas and these more creative ways to show up for the collective? What are we going to be contributing? What information are we going to be sharing, right? Also, the fact that we are having this full moon in the sign of Gemini, this has everything to do with where we're getting our information from. Where are we getting these goods from? Where is it being imported? Where is it being exported? You know, who's slaving over it, right? There's so many things that we're going to be thinking about, and there's going to be so many things that we're going to start that are going to be innovated. There's a lot of things that are being called into question. Now, I want to kind of go over, and I know that we're kind of talking a mile a minute, bear with me, where I want to kind of backtrack a little bit and say too that we're also having some really hard squares to Neptune here. So what I'm feeling with these hard squares to Neptune, we have the sun and the moon who is squaring off with Neptune. And anytime you have this has everything to do, by the way, Neptune is actually direct as of December the 7th. So the fact that Neptune is not direct, it's where we come to these realizations of the things that we thought about ourselves, the things that we thought about other people, our ideals, all of those things and all of those beliefs are starting to become unmasked, right? And it's almost kind of like this disenchantment, and we're waking up to the truth about how we treat ourselves, how we treat each other, how we treat the world, the paradigms that are happening here, and also the narratives that are pushed. And I feel like we start to really unmask ourselves. We take off the mask, we take off the goggles, and we just simply unplug from these ideas and these things that are told to us. It's this wordplay, this word magic that we're disenchanting ourselves from, and we start to really pay attention to the things that people are telling us. Now, moving from that point, here's where we start to get more into the downloads. Now, speaking of which, I want to move over to the fact that we have the moon in the 8th house in the sign of Gemini. This is where things start to get a little kind of creepy-ish, I want to say, and this is where things start to become more exposed. Gemini, who's ruled by Mercury, rules the media, social media, and the information that is being pushed to these larger groups of people. Now, the fact that we have the moon in the 8th house, we have this illuminating body of light, right? Or we have this moon that is impregnated with light. And the fact that it's happening in the 8th house, also Jupiter here, which is also in retrograde, I feel, and I'm predicting that there's going to be a lot more secrets being revealed about the pharmaceutical industry, about the media, about social media. Also, it's going to be a lot more stories being told about lawsuits, especially those who are celebrities. And also the fact I just heard the word, there's some words that I can't say on here, and I'm going to start giving a lot more predictions on a different platform, because I just feel in my spirit and my soul that saying some things on YouTube is probably not the best thing. So if you want to, follow me over on Instagram, because things are a lot less filtered. So basically, I feel like with the moon here, yeah, I feel like this has everything. It gives me like Ape the Clown vibes. And I also feel like it's this shadow aspect of Gemini that I'm seeing coming out more. And what this looks like is more public jokes being made about assaults, about sexual assault, about harming people, and these larger like celebrities and people of power, right, who say things in a joking way, but to make it more easily receivable to the masses. And what I'm feeling like is like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie It, how It the Clown would use wordplay to bring in children in order to consume them. And I feel like it would even though, the children more than likely had a bad vibe, sometimes they just couldn't help it because, it was its innocence. And so I feel like what we're going to start seeing a lot more of is the fact that, again, there's going to be a lot more jokes that are going to be made, a lot more things that are going to be said in order to make the masses get more used to the gory. Does that make sense? It's like they want you to become more desensitized to the morbid so that they can continue on with the agenda. So this has everything to do with the fact that they're trying to continuously push these agendas in a way that you will be more receptive. I feel like the fact that we have the moon in the 8th house here, especially in Gemini, it almost kind of brings up this cunning energy. It's almost kind of, I don't know why, but it's like I don't want to kind of make it seem like Geminis are psychopaths. No, it's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that it does kind of bring up this like psychotic behavior where people learn people, or they use psychology to learn people to see what incentivizes them. They start to really study people to see what makes them laugh, what makes them feel good, and they use that in order to gain some type of spiritual control, some type of mental control. And there's definitely a lot. I'm hearing the words MK Ultra right now as I'm talking. It almost kind of feels like there's going to be a lot more of people coming out about that. But also what I'm hearing, it's so weird that I'm hearing like the word clones. Like that's kind of weird. But yeah, if you've ever seen a movie, they clone Tyrone. And that's where I got to stop with that. So yes, it really does give me that vibe where things are going to be said more in the media. And I feel like, again, there's going to be a lot more lawsuits made and like a lot more reasons as to why lawsuits are being made, especially as it pertains to the sexual misconduct of minors. And I feel like a lot more of that is going to be coming out. And it's these transits that you see that are happening or that are going to happen that are actually playing out right now with major celebrities. Also, what I feel like too is that at the time of this full moon, I think that people are going to start realizing, even after, people are going to start realizing that the people that they idolize, that they worship, that they love the most, these celebrities, right? They're going to start seeing the truth about who they are and their role in the destruction of humanity. And I feel like at the end of the day, they are put in place in order to keep us controlled. And people are going to start waking up to that. And when people make these realizations, I have a feeling that some people are going to be just simply downright disgusted. And people that are refusing to see the truth for what it is are going to drown. And I don't call that in for them. But what I'm saying is that if you are listening to this far, then 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10, then you are someone that does not subscribe to the ideologies of these major people, of these corporations. I feel like there's going to be a lot more things being revealed again about banking, especially because the 8th house does deal with money, assets. It deals with legal contracts, legal documents, mortgages. It also deals with commissions and things of that nature, debts. It deals with all that, joint resources. And I feel like because of this 8th house, it also deals with it's the house of secrecy. So I feel like there's going to be a lot more things being exposed as to how these things are being used in order to keep people mentally trapped and mentally in debt, energetically in debt, spiritually in debt. And I'm truly feeling that. I wanted to come back on here and give you guys the remainder of the downloads for this particular transit, because what came through was the words buying up land, and this did connect me to Bill Gates. Now, there's something very specific about buying up lands, and also you guys looking up land records and land patents and things of that nature to see what you actually have rights to and things of that nature. Also, what came through was large sums of money being taken out of people's bank accounts, and also bank fraud. Like, that is something that is very strong coming through right now. So I would definitely find a way to protect my assets. I will also ensure that I have my trust set up. Start doing more research in law, protecting your assets and things of that nature. Also, the fact that we do have Saturn that's going to be squaring off with Jupiter at that time, it's one of those things where we have to trust ourselves and know that if we ground ourselves and we do the work and we do what we need to do, and we are showing integrity and we're being responsible, that we can ground ourselves and really push change for ourselves. We can push change for the collective on a macroscopic level and also on a microscopic level. But it comes with us trusting ourselves, and it comes with us following divine guidance and us being in alignment and really being in touch and in tune with our ability to rationalize, our ability to think, but also our ability to communicate effectively and truly understand things from a larger perspective. And also with love and compassion, because I feel like so oftentimes people they just forget compassion because they don't want to feel weak or taken advantage of. And well, it's interesting because we have been taken advantage of as a people. And what I'm seeing is that at the time of the full moon, there's going to be some type of revolutionary thought that are going to make people want to do differently. They're going to start paying more attention as to how they're treating each other, how they're talking to each other. There's going to be lots of changes around communication. I also forgot to mention this. There's something about the First Amendment, and I feel like that has everything to do with Mercury squaring off with Saturn. Saturn is a planet that is tried and true. It represents government. It represents corporations. It represents businesses. And so whenever you have Mercury squaring off with that, Mercury decides to show up in courage for itself because it knows with the North Node being in the sign of Aries that it is headed towards a time where it wants to be more of an advocate. So this means that you'll have people starting to speak up a lot more about their rights, about their First Amendment, about their ability to be able to speak. Also, what I feel like too is that decensoring is happening because there's something regarding freedom of speech that I feel like is going to become a lot more important. And I feel like just what Spirit is saying, just to really pay attention. Also, what I want to say here is that there are some people, I don't want to go back to this Pluto and Mars opposition. I feel like, honestly, like this is definitely one of those transits where it's like, listen, I feel like I'm going to be a lot more radical because I'm tired of the bullshit. Like I'm just tired. Like you keep telling us this, but what are you doing? Like how are you taking action? Like we are for the people here. There's a revolutionary and the power is being given back to the people. The power is in the favor of the people. The power is in the favor of the people. It is we the people. And I want you to remember that. Spirit is saying to remember, it is we the people, not we the government. The people are what makes this whole matrix, and Spirit is reminding us too that this matrix is still being reset. There is still a great reset happening, and the great reset looks like power being back to the collective in a way that is righteous, in a way that is justified, and in a way that brings change and positive change in our own individual lives and also on a macroscopic level. This is a global change, and I feel like what's happening here will be seen and felt all around the world. It will. Also, what I'm hearing is that there is going to be a major return of the tribal nations. Like that's something that is coming through heavily. And mark my words, that I feel like there's going to be some type of revolution with tribal people. I can feel it. Like, and I'm getting chills as I'm saying that. There's going to be more information surfacing around tribal people. There's going to be a lot more talks about what I'm feeling about reparations, slavery, and, you know, the hidden truths regarding that. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not saying anything else. That is all that I'm going to tell you. You can take it or you can leave it. It's up to you. But what I will say also is you can take everything with a grain of salt. You don't have to believe in anything that I'm saying. I mean, you can use your discernment. All I will say is that there are certain truths that were pushed that are going to be challenged. And I really can feel that. Also, there's something about influencers. There is this annoyance is what I'm feeling with influencers and with consumerism and with people wanting to influence for the sake of consumption. And I feel like people are getting tired of that. There's going to be a lot more cancel culture happening. People are going to start canceling people because they feel like they are just super unauthentic and they're tired of feeling like people are using this authenticity as a way to bring you in to make money. And I feel like I'm also seeing too, what I'm feeling is that there's like this social structure that people are falling into that is going to be dismantled. I'm also seeing like a grading system with society that could possibly be happening or that could be underway, and I feel like that has a lot to do with this Pluto in Aquarius, but we're going to talk about that in another video perhaps. Okay, you guys, man, we uncovered a lot. And the last things that I want to give you as well, a last few little tidbits here, is the fact that we have a trine here happening we have a couple of trines actually happening in fire. So we're working with a lot of mutable energy here, and we're also working with a lot of fire because we have a trine of fire, obviously, in Leo, Sag, and also in Aries. And this trine is a perfect triangle in which creates a portal for information and energy to flow through to create this change. And the fact that we are having a trine in fire, that means that this fire is working harmoniously and effortlessly in order to bring change, to rebirth this world. So I feel like whatever it is that you have to share, I suggest that you get started on writing those ideas down, jotting them down, putting them in your journal, maybe putting them in your phone, or even if you want to put them in your notepad or in your notes. I feel like it is wise for you to start getting those ideas together so that you can start to tell your story. You may be called to also do more spoken word. You may be called to speak up in large groups of people, speak and share your mind on social media. I wouldn't be surprised if on social media you start seeing a lot more posts around where people have shared their accomplishments and also who shared the things that have went wrong in their lives. You know, they start to share their traumas more and they start to expose a lot more people. There's going to be a lot more exposure, and I'm talking about for the underdog and those that were out to continuously keep us on lock mode. And that's just kind of what I feel. Now, Venus trining Jupiter, I love this. And the reason is because I feel like this is one of those things where you can use this time to really think creatively about how you can create balance and harmony and how it can lead you to expanding your consciousness, going within yourself and really having more of like this poetic vibe to you that in a way that describes the beauty in the world. It's almost kind of like looking at the beauty in all the chaos and looking at the beauty in the dismantling and looking at the beauty of this birth and transformation that we're all going through collectively and also on a global level and also on a microscopic level. So I really do feel like that is a beautiful time where we can start to really express ourselves in a more beautiful way. We can start to share our stories more in hopes that it can encourage more compassion, more love, more unity in the world. And I feel like that's really where we're all headed towards. Oh, by the way, I forgot. I want us to do a card pull. How could I forget? And as I say that, we have the Page of Cups. Stop playing around. Speaking of poetry, right? Stop playing around. We just talked about poetry out of the Three of Cups here. That's so amazing and beautiful. that was dope. That was like right on time. We have the Star card here as well. I feel like this is Spirit's way of us the World card. I love it. Okay, this is so great. I'm looking at the time. I know you guys, I'm sorry. What is time anyway, right? Okay, so it looks like we have the Page of Cups. We have the Three of Cups. We have the Star card, the World card, the Death card. We are definitely changing as a collective, and I feel like we're all being pushed towards community. It's been about community a lot, and I have been saying that for a long time now. It is all about community, and that is what we're headed toward. It's no longer about individualism. It's about collectivism. I don't think collectivism is a word, but we're going to make it a word. Also, I do feel like this has everything to do with Spirit reminding us that our choices ultimately affect the collective, especially with the fact that we have the Lovers card here. What we choose to do will ultimately impact someone else. And I think that now it's time for us to lean more into our ability to connect in a very loving, poetic, compassionate way. We also have here King of Wands. And the last, any more cards, Spirit, that you have for us today? The Chariot, Nine of Wands in reverse. Oh my goodness, and the Ten of Cups. I love to see this. Okay, so with this, I feel like there's this reminder of the beauty of unison, of the beauty of being a part of this collective and of being a part of this greater whole, and how we are progressing more and focusing more on creating unity and love. Like, I cannot shake that feeling. And I also feel like with the Chariot here, this is Spirit reminding us truly that we are stronger together than we are separately, and together we are creating this utopia, whatever that looks like. Although there will never be a perfect utopia where there is no crime and things like that. That only really exists in our own personal bubbles and our own heads. And I feel like we can still add more love and more light to this world if we choose to be vulnerable, if we choose to be open, and if we choose to be honest and vulnerable and open in these spaces that allow us to be, or that we know where it's needed. I also feel like Spirit is saying to follow your North Node, to follow the North Star with the Star card here. Follow that. And the reason why is because it's leading you to this collective energy where you can be a part of, where you're benefiting from that, but you're also contributing to that. There's also what Spirit is saying is that we can work together to make things easier, and also just simply start enjoying life a lot more. Just enjoy yourself, enjoy life, enjoy each other, enjoy love, right? Enjoy play, enjoy laughter. Get more grounded and get more into your body, get more into your ability to connect. Also, I feel like remember not to make any rash decisions right now. Decisions and clarity will come once Mercury does go direct. That's something that I want to say too. I also feel like the greatest card that is standing out to me the most right now is the Star card. And this has everything to do with showing up in full authenticity, showing up in a way that where we can connect truly. This is responsibly, this is integrity, this is love, this is joy. This is us truly figuring out the reason why all this came to be. It's us realizing the truth as to why things crumbled and finding beauty in the destruction and rebuilding these pieces when we start to figure out why we were being cracked open, and us allowing ourselves to be cracked open in order to bring in this long lasting love. And I feel like that is what Spirit's message is for us today. Thank you all for spending time with me here on YouTube. I have had a wonderful time giving you a bunch of information. If y'all need anything from me, be sure to visit me online at CassandraTurner.com. You guys can also follow along with me over at Magic of Eden. I love handcrafting my own spiritual essentials, and I'm actually going to be creating videos showing you guys how I work my magic, how I work with the planets, and how I choose to make my oils and things of that nature in order to become a better person, but not only that, transcend beyond my pain and my suffering, and ultimately create more love, balance, and unity in the world. I love you guys, and I will catch you in my next video.